to Red Lipstick. So today I wanted to share with you my favorite pale girl foundations. Being a pale girl, I think we all know how hard it is to find foundations that actually match our skin tone. A lot of the time you can go to the drugstore and sometimes even go to Sephora and they just don't make a shade light enough for you. I wanted to show you my favorite ones. I have a pretty even amount from the drugstore and high-end ones of my favorite formulas and ones that come in light enough shades for us girls who are super pale. So there is kind of a mix of different finishes in here. Just so you guys know, I do have chronically dry skin. Most of the time it's relatively normal, but it does run pretty dry. So that is my skin type. A lot of these will cater to a drier skin type, but some of them don't. Some of them are also good for oily skin, so hopefully everyone can find a good recommendation here. So I'm going to start out with my drugstore favorites first and then move on to the high-end ones. I'm going to explain a little bit about each foundation and let's get into it. So first of all, one of my favorites is the Revlon Colorstay Whipped Cream Makeup. This one is in the color 110 Ivory. It is a 24-hour foundation, so it is actually good for oily skin as well. I find that on my skin, unless I apply this with a sponge, it looks a little bit dry. The color 110 Ivory is actually a really excellent shade match for my pale skin. It's nice and light. It's very, very moussey, and like I said, it's a whipped formula, so it's very creamy. It has excellent medium, high medium coverage. Next up is actually one of my a little bit darker summer foundations. This is the L'Oreal True Match Lumi foundation. I really like this foundation because it has excellent coverage, and even though it is, you'll see it swatched next to the Revlon, it is a little bit darker and more yellow toned. I do have the warm one here just because I like that on my skin tone in the summertime a little bit better because it looks like I'm more bronzed and tan, but it is still relatively light for being a warm one. This is W12 warm, so it's Porcelain Light Ivory. It is an excellent skin color match for me during the summer. I cannot get away with this in winter, but I do love the coverage of this. It's a great medium to buildable foundation. It has a beautiful luminous glow to it. It does not look super, super dewy. It doesn't make your skin look greasy or anything like that. It just has a gorgeous glow to it, and I am obsessed with this. Next up is one of my favorite drugstore ones. This is the CoverGirl Outlast Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 foundation. This is the shade Ivory. I believe this is the lightest one. I don't think they have a porcelain. And this one works really well for me. It's very similar in tone to the Revlon foundation up here. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's a little bit more pink toned, but it is very, very fair. And I love the formula of this. It never looks dry on my dry skin. It again has a really nice luminous finish. It makes your skin look naturally beautiful. This is one that I will apply only with a sponge or with my hands, again, because I feel like it warms up in your hands and looks much more natural that way, or the sponge will make it look more natural and dewy. I don't like it with a brush because it does tend to kind of like pull the product and give you streaks, so definitely apply with a sponge or your hands. Gives beautiful medium coverage, like most of these are pretty much medium coverage. But it just has the most kind of natural look out of all of these. It's a great one for if you're in school and you don't want a super heavy coverage. You want something that looks really nice and people aren't going to be able to clock you for wearing a ton of makeup. Now moving on to a little bit more expensive, not quite high-end yet, is the Sephora. This is their Airbrush foundation. What's it called? Perfection Mist Airbrush Foundation. This is in the lightest shade. Creme is what it's called, but it is an aerosol can. This has been called similar to Dior Air Flash. I don't think it's an exact dupe. I don't hear as many people raving about this as they do about Dior Air Flash. I've never tried it, but that's the assumption that I get. It's probably not as good if you don't hear about it a ton, but I love it. It's absolutely beautiful on the face. It looks so natural, like you cannot tell that you're wearing makeup. It covers, because it's such a lightweight formula, because it's in an aerosol can, I apply it to a sponge first and then dab it on my face. You can't tell that you're wearing makeup. It just looks like you have a flawless complexion. So I'm gonna just spray it on my hand here or on my arm. As you can see, it's probably the lightest one of all of them. It's almost kind of like a white color, but it does have, actually this has a pretty neutral undertone, to be quite honest. Obviously it's even paler than I am right now, so that's amazing. This is more of my winter foundation because that's how pale I get. But I love that it gives lightweight full coverage. You can build that up to cover any facial imperfections, any freckles on your face. Can totally build it up without looking cakey. It just always looks natural. Now moving on to all of my high-end foundations. First one you guys know is probably coming, Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. I wore this on my wedding day. It will forever be my favorite foundation of all time. It gives the most gorgeous luminous look to your face. It gives excellent coverage. It's not full coverage by any means. It's probably about a medium, not super buildable, but it's so natural looking. It looks beautiful in photos. It just makes you look super, super radiant. I definitely recommend this for anyone who's getting married and looking for a great wedding foundation. It lasted all night on me. It's so, so beautiful. And the color that I have here is actually in shade 2. This is actually a better match for my skin because it's got a more neutral undertone, a little bit on the warm side. That's why I have 2. I think 1 is way too pink and it actually looks darker than 2 for some reason. So I picked this up. It is expensive, but I get it from fragrancenet.com for $20 cheaper than Sephora. So definitely recommend that website and recommend this foundation. For a more high coverage option, and this one is good for both oily and dry skins, this is the Estee Lauder Double Wear. This is an amazing foundation if you want high coverage that's not going to be too dry. This is a beautiful foundation. There's a ton of different colors. It does dry relatively matte, but not so matte that it looks fake and cakey and awful. Even on my dry skin, this looks beautiful. And I've seen a lot of people with oily skin wear it as well. Even the lady that I purchased this from at the Estee Lauder counter said this is great for all skin types. It definitely is one of the most long-wearing foundations that I have, and one of the best coverage foundations that I have. You can totally build this up to full coverage, or you can shear it out with like a sponge and it can be medium coverage. It is such a beautiful foundation. It makes the skin look completely airbrushed. I compare it to kind of the finish of an actual airbrush foundation. It looks so natural and so beautiful. This was one of my favorite foundations for a long time. It's been replaced by Giorgio Armani because I do prefer a little bit more of a glowy look. But this is a great one if you're not so into the glowy radiance, if you want more of a matte foundation that looks super natural. This is a great one. Next up, another more, I wouldn't say matte foundation, it's in between matte and kind of dewy, is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea foundation. This has quickly become one of my new favorite foundations. I love the way that this looks on the skin. It's again another more natural foundation. I can usually only build it up to about high medium coverage, but I love the way this looks. Again, it looks so natural. It gives a little bit of a glow, but not too much. It's really hard to describe because it almost looks matte, but then again, you do get some like glowiness on the tops of your cheekbones and stuff when it hits the light. So it is kind of like, I guess, a radiant satin type of foundation. I love the color selection of this. This one I have here is in Porcelain, and it is the perfect color match for me. It's got a completely neutral undertone. This is the lightest one they have. Great skin match for my neck and everything. It's just so beautiful and natural looking. And the last foundation I have here has been a long time favorite. It's one of the first foundations I featured on my channel, the Lancome Photognic Lumessence foundation. Now this is a great foundation for mature skin or skin that has a lot of texture, unevenness to it. Any kind of like facial imperfections, like I have acne pitting and divots on my face. Anyone with active acne would benefit from this. Anyone with mature skin, wrinkles, because this is a foundation that catches the light in such a way that it makes your skin look more youthful. It's also meant to kind of plumpen the skin in areas that you may have uneven skin texture. So it never emphasizes this area of my face right here where I have that acne pitting. Great for mature skin, great for anyone with wrinkles, just because of the way it hits the light. It says on here it's a light mastering and line smoothing makeup. It's so beautiful on the skin. Again, this is more of a luminous finish. It's got that beautiful satin it's got that beautiful satin finish to it, where it makes your face look a lot more luminous and bright. Huge fan of this. The color that I have here is Ivory 1N, so Ivory Neutral, the lightest neutral shade. They also have cool shades and warm shades, so there's a great range there for you. I love this so much. It just looks so amazing on the skin no matter how I apply it. I could use a brush, I can use a sponge, I can use my hands. It just always looks good. It's one of my absolute go-tos when I'm having a bad skin day, if my skin feels especially dry, or it's going to be really hot out, I just go to this. So this is probably one of my #1 recommendations to you guys to pick up if you have textured skin. Alright guys, so those were all of my foundation recommendations for anyone with pale skin, with dry skin. I had a few oily skin options in here as well. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and have a great day.